or explain why doing it. The second one could be that your confidence might feel like it's going down, it's destruction of confidence. Like these comments might repeatedly come. You know what? You cannot handle the money. And I don't think you can manage our life with this money. So it's better that if I control it. It can be the denial of access, like blocking the information about the accounts or your debts or resources. And they force you in a way that you depend on them completely when it comes to financial decisions. And they sometimes might state like, okay, think of the family. This is not about you. This is about the family. Maybe it's you cannot manage the way that I'm doing. So don't ask for more. And the impacts are huge. The first thing that it happens is the loss of autonomy. If I'm not able to make the decisions about my life with the money, it will impact my daily life or the future. It would affect me in a way that I cannot decide what I'm going to do in the future for me, my family, or the people that I love. It could be the fear and dependency. It's like you feel like trapped in an unsafe relationship, because the moment you feel I want to leave this relationship, then it's like, okay, what can I do? Financial is impossible. Not just because maybe I don't control over the money, because now I don't have the confidence to manage the money. And then there is a shame and self-doubt again. Internalize the belief. I cannot be in charge of the money. Maybe I'm incapable of managing the resources. Maybe the other person is right. And then becoming the chronic stress, anxiety about my survival. How can I provide for my children? How can I face the future? And the impacts are very big, very big. And unfortunately, it could internalize, and it could affect our confidence and our hope for the future change. When money is used not as a shared resource, but as a tool to control choices and makes you independent, this is the financial abuse. And to understand what's happening to us and name this kind of abuse is, again, the first step to protect ourselves. These same patterns of control do not stop at home. Also, they follow us into our professional life, including academic settings, workplace, and mostly what I saw in many cases are that they labeled is like as a work culture. And it seems like I'm the only one that I'm not following this, which let's go through our workplace abuse. Judith, could we please go to workplace abuse? Oh, thank you. Work is meant to provide stability, to provide growth, dignity. But in many professional settings and across many cultures, include academic ones, the patterns of abuse exist. And these patterns not always look like abuse. They are often hidden or explained as a way like it's the work culture, is how things are done here, or you are the one, you have to adjust yourself to this culture. And they can appear in many settings and many forms. Like they might ask you to work for excessive hours or unpaid demands, like constant overtime, unrealistic workload, or responsibilities that are not inside your role. It could be like a public humiliation in front of your colleagues, intimidating you by maybe yelling at you in front of other people, or say that, okay, if you are not doing it, you are the person who is going to get harmed. Maybe you might lose your job. And mostly they are unclear. The expectations are not clear. They might shift the role. And as a person, I'm not sure what I'm doing here with this job. Should I do this one? And it's not like, okay, why you guys don't give me the clear example, or how would I do? It's mostly we think about ourselves like, why I cannot do this job? Maybe I'm lacking of something. Other people are doing it. Why I cannot do that? Or it could be they withhold the resources to pay, like delayed salaries. They might block the opportunities, or lack of giving you funding for if you have a research in academic settings. And the stress is unbelievable, because as I said, the work and the financials are tied in survival, and it makes us to doubt our competence and skills, develop the self-blame, imposter syndromes, or we might experience it as burnout, exhaustion, anxieties, or believe that we should sacrifice our personal well-being to remain valuable in this culture. You might feel isolated, think like, okay, my other colleagues are doing their work, maybe I'm the only one, I cannot adjust. Or if I speak up, I might lose my job or even my reputation. And one thing that makes workplace abuse very difficult to name is that is normally and often, let's say often, it's very normalized. Long hours might sounds like you are dedicating yourself to your job. If you stay silent, it means you are a professional who is doing their job. If you hear harsh criticism, it's like you, because of the high standards that our company or our setting has, so you have to accept those harsh criticism. But fear, shame, and silence are something that we can see through all these patterns. And constantly being in these situations will shape how we work and how we see ourselves as a person in this job. Um, Abuse in workplace is the most one of the most abuses we can see in many cultures, even in respected professions. So far, we talked about how abuse can appear in different forms. I hope it was clear enough to understand what does it look like and how it impact our body, our mind, how it impact our the way to deal with other people, shape our relationships, and all of them have the same patterns. Is the control, the fear, doubt that we feel, shame, and unfortunately the loss of control. The first step is to name what is happening to us. If I know that I'm under abuse, this is the very big step, as I said from the beginning, because then I can separate it from the culture, from the duty, from who we are, and then I can understand it better. So it means more clear, which will come the second step. That is, what can we do now? Now that I named it, what can I do? And not in a very big leap, but in more small, realistic actions that protects our dignity and open space for change, even the small one. Before we move on, if you like, we can take a 5 minutes break to take a rest, a stretch, or relax, and then we can continue with the protection, which the 6 steps that we will talk about that will help us to move on in difficult situations.
All right, let's take 5 minutes break. We'll be right back. 5 minutes time. Thank you so much, Tara. All right, I think we can continue now.
Okay, great. I hope you could take some rest and let's continue to the steps of how to protect ourselves. Thank you, Judith, for the PPT. The first thing that's it's in protection, the step one, is to distinguish the culture from harm. There are lots of practices in every culture that they are valuable, but also harmful behaviors can mask themselves as tradition or something as culture. Here we want to do two things to be more clear. What is our culture is and what is those harmful behaviors are. So the first step would be make two lists. The first one is the traditions and cultures that I value in my culture as a human. And the second one is the behaviors that I think it's harmful to me. So these two lists, when we make them, it's make us to be more clear of what our culture is, what we value, and what kind of behaviors we find that are harmful. And here the point is ask yourself if one of these behaviors, harmful behaviors, happen to someone that I care, not me, someone I care, would it still call normal? Would I still think as it as a normal culture or traditional, or does it cross the line to harmful behavior? This practice helps to reduce the confusion and also the guilt, because the line between I respecting my cultures and understanding the harmful behavior could be very tricky. Lots of times it might make us feel guilty, or maybe other people think that other people might in our culture might judge us because we are talking about it. So naming this abuse in a clear way is the very first step toward protection. And here is the step two, which, as you can see, to guard our mind. As we were talking about the abuses reshape our thinking patterns, often produce self-blame. So these kind of exercises are very important to understand our reality. So one of them is write daily affirmations. It is not my fault. I deserve dignity. So in this way, I can understand what is it happening to me, what are my values are, and what I'm doing in this kind of situation. The second one is keep a journal. It doesn't have to be like a very long sentences or like every day what you do, but it's more like record events. What happened today, maybe if it was something that it was tricking emotionally or any kind of abuses that we talked, you could record the events and also put your emotional responses. When this happened to me, what did I do? What was my emotional responses? And after you wrote those, you can end with one values that you did. Maybe it was the safety of yourself, maybe the children, maybe it was your dignity. And in this way, when we document what happens to us, it will weaken the gaslighting. They cannot play with our reality easily because we have it documented, and it's more support the clarity and also strengthens our self-trust. So the step two is record what is happening to us. The step 3 is relational protection, and which it means build support system. One thing that abusers do is to isolate us from our surroundings for other people. And it's the message is other people don't care about you. They are ruining our life. This is the private life. You shouldn't share it with other people. And they're very limited our relationship with other people. So the first step in this area, which it helps to break the isolation and we feel supported, is we don't have to share the stories with everyone, but identify one or two trusted people. It can be anyone. It could be one of your friends. It could be one of your family members. And you can even establish a code word or like some statements between just you two or like with other people. So if there is a need, you could use those words without the abuser knows what's going on. And also very important step here is identify a safe physical space, that physically your body is safe. It could be a friend's house, like a cafe or community setting, whenever you feel that you are more safe. And if it's possible, share a brief statement with professionals like social workers, counselors. If you have, you can simply say, I don't feel safe at home or at work, or I might be at danger. And I want to emphasize here that social and professional supports creates a safety net, and they can help you to reduce the isolation. Even talking about it, what's happening to you, it's very important. Our step 4 is concrete small tools. Concrete actions can provide security even in restrictive environments. For example, in physical abuse, you can keep essential documents, what happened to your body, or you can have emergency kit to be prepared if something happens to you, or you can have some hidden cash if you are in a situation that you might use those cash. In emotional abuse, you can record harmful words or any gaslighting or any try of manipulate your emotions. You can have a list of what is happening, as in a journal step, as I said, what's happening to you, or what is you are going through. And for these kind of emotional abuses, sometimes when you are in the situation, it's very hard to go out of the situation. You have to stay, and you cannot set the boundaries with abusers. So if you have some small statements that you can use in those situations, it gives you a space to be a little bit far from the abusers. For example, you can say, I cannot answer right now. I need some time to think, or I don't think this is the right moment for me to discuss this matter with you. It could be in work settings. I need some space to think. And even these small statements help you to provide a boundary, a safe space that you can think more and you can see what options you have. For workplace abuse, what I encourage to do is to track of hours. Maybe this is not easy to set the boundaries of, oh, I'm not going to do the overtime hours. Maybe you have to do it. Maybe it's not that easy to just say that I'm not going to do it. But knowing what you are doing, track of the hours, how much you are getting paid, and what the incidents are. And very big help would be learn about what labor rights means in your country. What are your rights as a worker in the workplace? For financial abuse, if I want to say, it's keep documents, the copy of whatever financial you are doing. It could be in your workplace, it could be in your family, and learn about what kind of NGOs are there and how can they support you with your financial documents. These actions are concrete, small, but they absolutely will build some confidence in you. You can gather the evidence, and gradually you can understand that you have some control over the situation that you are. Um, the next step, step 5, is the legal and community resources. Formal structures can be really critical. For example, if you are in a situation that it could be dangerous, or it's very manipulating, or it's emotionally draining, writing down one hotline, NGOs or community support groups are very important. Even a small call, if you can call some of this hotline and explain what kind of situations you are, maybe in very critical moments that you feel like there's nobody that you can trust or nobody you can talk about. These hotlines can be very helpful. The second one is put a number that you trust. It could be any person that you trust, or even one of these hotline, in a name that is neutral. So if someone goes to your phone, they cannot understand what's going on with these numbers. And if there is a report system in your community, in your workplace, or wherever you are studying or working anonymously, you can report some abuse. They would be very helpful. So it's why is it help? Because you have the knowledge and you have the resources to reduce the fear and increases your options. There are the steps I can do. The control is more under my sight. I can do some things, even this is a small steps. Step 6, which is my favorite step, is the existential protections to help you maintain your dignity and hope. One thing that abuse does is to take the control. And when we don't have the control, which is one of the core things of our survival, we can get isolated, depressed. It can be without ourself, our values. So one thing is to maintain our dignity and hope for the future. For example, very simple thing. Identify one choice that is available today for you. It's everything sounds like out of your control. We cannot do anything right now. Name one thing that this is under your control. For example, it could be anything, even a small thing. I can walk today. I can write. I can call someone. I can see the sky. I can enjoy this meal. It can be anything, any existential reminder that I'm here. I have the control. I am doing all of these things. And another thing is record what brings meaning to your life. Why am I doing this? Why am I in this situation? Because of my children, because I love my job, because of the humanity, because of the face I have. It could be anything. But one small thing that gives you meaning to have the hope, for the change and for having the control again of your life. And here I want to introduce one practice that is one of the grounding techniques that we use in our therapy. I'm sure that you already heard it because it's on social medias as well, but it's very helpful. It was helpful also to myself when we are in a stress or anxiety triggering situation. It's the deep breathing. The deep breathing is we take maybe 5 or 6 seconds, we take there inside and we hold it for few seconds and slowly we blow it out. This way it make our mind comes to our body and to see what's happening when we breathe. So it's if we are in a loop of anxiety or stress, it suddenly comes to our body and what's happening to our breath. In the situation that it's maybe out of control, my stress level is very up, I don't know what to do in this situation, this deep breathing can be very helpful. The second one, it's very useful. Also, we use with clients that they have panic attacks. It's the sensory awareness. What's happening around me? Look at 5 things that you can see. Here is my cup, here's my, for example, mouse, here are my notes, here is my bag. Then what smells you can feel? Maybe this is the smell as outside, this is the food smell, the smells. What kind of sounds you can hear? For example, somebody is, the bird is singing outside, maybe the dish sounds. When we do this kind of sensory awareness, we become grounded on our body. We focus on ourselves, and it helps us to manage those kind of meanings. And one thing that it's all of them have in core is that I exist. I matter. I'm in this moment and I'm living. These 6 steps are not rules to follow like in rigid way, but they are just the tools for each person in any unique situations. And these steps are meant to be adapted in your own life, your own culture, in your own circumstances. Just you can use them in your own way, in any time, or with your wisdom. I hope our talk was useful, and I tried to explain how abuse can look like, how they can impact us, and some tools to protect ourselves. Before I open the ground for I would like to say that abuse is never the victim's fault. Abuser tries to make people small. It tries to control, and they tries to make us doubt ourselves. And sometimes, maybe most of the time, leaving the situation is not our options, and maybe this is impossible. But if we know what's going on with us, if we have the awareness and we know how to name it and what our options are, then they are step by step will guide us through the change. My hope is that today I given you 2 things. One, clarity to recognize abuse in all kinds of forms that it has. And the second one, the practical step we can use right away, wherever you are in your journey, to protect yourself. And one last thing is the courage to name what is happening to us. the courage to believe you are worth of having a safe life, the courage to take even small step forward. Thank you for your time being with me, and thank you for you being open. And now, if it's okay, I would love to open the ground for our Q&A.
I thank you very much, Sarah. I think um this was a very eye-opening seminar, and I love some of the tips that you gave about how to protect yourself and um how to identify the types of abuse. So I have some questions. Um so so first of all, I have a friend who I think is going through abuse in her marriage. And every time we talk, um I try to point out, and I'm not exactly sure what kind of advice to give to her, but I try to point out that she is actually being abused, but she loves her partner so much, and she doesn't think taking any steps against her partner is good. How do you address such a person? How do you advise such a person in that situation?
Thank you for your question, Judith. I think it's a very important question. I saw it in many clients, the same situation. One thing that I'm wondering here is if they told you that they want to go out of this situation. Lots of time we might see these kind of abuse patterns in for with our friends or relatives or the people we care, but the question is, do they also feel the same? Maybe we can say it, but when you talk to them they are like, no, this is my life and that's okay. In this situation, if your friend doesn't feel or think that she's under abuse, it would be very hard for you to give them insight of what's happening or if they have to seek the help. But if you wish them to see it more clearly, one thing that we can do is the education what abuse look like, because unfortunately lots of individuals, they, as we talked in our um, session today, lots of people normalize abuse like this is my family way of living, this is my culture, my mom also been like this, my dad was like this, so this is something normal, I'm under that. So naming this kind of thing and go over what is happening to us is very important, but unfortunately it's not that easy to give the insight. But one thing that I think maybe in this case you might able to do is to educate, not in a direct, maybe not in a direct way. If your friend is like, no, I don't think this is something I'm going through, but in a direct way, what does it look like what kind of videos you can share with them, like what abuse look like, the professions they talk about abuse, you can discuss this kind of matters with them about the values, about the culture. This way you can help. But if your friends know what's going on with them, then the chances are, what we also talk is the control, it's very big, that they cannot see any future for themselves. It's mostly it's the question of, so what if I go out of this relationship, what my future would look like. And if they have children or some shared maybe financial things, it's even the harder, like what can I, how can I do, what can I go out of this situation. If it's the case, I really recommend your friend to talk with a professional. The counseling session can be very helpful. But if you're asking as a friend, educating your friend, I think it would be a very great help.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No
Um,
problem.
Hello everyone. Please, you feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Um, if you have any questions or comments, just type them up in the chat section. Also, I have dropped the form for feedback. So just take a few minutes to fill out the feedback form on how today's seminar was and any things you want to see change or that you like. So I'll give you a few minutes, drop your questions. You can send them to me also, and I would read them out. Oh, okay, so we have a question. It says, what if your partner or the person abusing you doesn't know you are being abused? How do you communicate that to him?
My guess is that they are saying,
Hmm.
I think they are saying that when somebody abuse you, but they don't know that
Yeah,
you are doing the abuse, right?
yes, yes.
That's a very, very important question. Um, and one thing that might happen is the abuser, most of the time, it doesn't look like that they know that they abuse you, which actually happens many cases. But some of the cases, if you talk to them, and it's not like they are pretending something, like it's not like they are doing a show, really they believe they are not doing something wrong. And as we talked about the abuse, they are saying, this was your fault. Or what did I do? Because you behaved in this way, I'm doing this kind of way. So many times we can see that they don't know what's going on. And if they don't know what's going on and what they are doing, even though you talk with them, they cannot understand. You cannot communicate what's happening to you. Again, here, I want you, and if the person is open to education, I think it would be very important to educate them what's, for example, if it's a partner, what's the partnership, what's the marriage life look like if it's in a healthy way. If it's in a healthy way, how should I feel and how's your feeling? And you can spot, not talking about the abuse directly, because they might block it and say, okay, I don't think this is something wrong with me, but more in a communication way, like, can you see what's happening in this situation? I felt this way. What was your feeling? And mostly talk about this feeling. If the person is open to these discussions, and I hope they would be, it's very helpful, because little by little they can understand what's happening to you. But if the person blocks you from this kind of communication, then my advice is to educate yourself first, to know what your rights are, what are you going under. And even though they don't do anything, you have the control over the situation more. And in this way, their control gets less than before, because you have more control. And then you can guide them through what you think is the best for you. In some cases, it might be the leaving the partnership or the relationship. In some cases, it might be going to couple therapy. In some cases, might be you educate the person. And in this situation, you should see what works best for you. But to wrap it up, my suggestion is to educate yourself as much as possible, to know what you are going through. The situation will be really helpful and will be really powerful for the next step.
All right, thank you very much. I think the second question to that first one says, can you call emotional negligence emotional abuse? Emotional negligence.
Um, mm, it, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a different question. So,
Okay, so no,
I'm not
okay.
sure what emotional negligence here would mean. Maybe the person has some
Uh,
things.
if
I'm not sure.
maybe they mean like they are not responsive to your emotional, like for
Emotionally,
example, if you are sad, they don't care, like they come to you, or maybe some they don't show their affections through words or physical affection. If those kind of thing you are talking about, those kind of things, yes, they are under emotional abuse. However, as the first question, they might not know that what they are doing. They might know, but they might not know it, and they say, okay, this is the way I'm showing myself. Oh, okay, I think they said something.
yes. She said, like, when you ignore emotional feelings, like when I'm upset and I'm being ignored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, right, okay. I think it's the same. Yes, if you are okay, here it's very thin line. I don't want to overgeneralize all of this situation. First, one thing that is important is to understand our ways and our partner's ways when it comes to emotional situation. For example, some people when they are upset, they like other person to come to them, maybe hug them or talk to them. Other people are like, okay, don't talk to me, I want to be alone, or maybe they leave the situation. First, I want to make sure if it's not those kind of differences. If they are, we cannot put them under abuse. It's most like the way that people communicate with each other. But if it's not that, and you can see that they constantly or maybe deliberately they are ignoring you even though you are telling them, and this is repeatedly happening, yes, then I can see that it could be under the abuse umbrella of the things that we were talking about.
Mm, okay.
I think we
There
have
is another
another.
question. I'll read out the next question. It says, I have a friend who is being abused in marriage, but is a guy. Like his wife would beat him, drag his manhood, bite him multiple times, threaten him with knife, and he could not do any more about it. The one time out of self-defense, he hit her back. She told everyone her husband beat her, and since then, he has vowed not to touch her, but she abuses him physically, and he can't touch her. But it's really telling on him. How does he handle it? Because anytime he tells someone his wife beats him, they laugh and do not take him seriously.
I'm um, First of all, thank you for asking these questions, because normally when we talk about the abuse, normally we talk about women,
Yes.
but the abuse of men generally overlooked. I don't think we talk about them as much. And one thing that happens when men are under abuse is the mostly the cultural thing, that it's not talked like women talk about abuse. They are more hidden. Maybe they are shy to talk about. Maybe the other people might make fun of them. Maybe they say this is not serious, or making a joke, as you actually said it, like, oh, well, how can I hit him? He's a big man. I'm a woman. What kind of thing is it? He's lying, or this kind of thing. So I can understand in this situation he might feel lots of stress. The thing that you described about this person, it's very serious. Seriously, he's under physical abusement, also emotional abusement, as I can see. And I think they are being under very heavy abuse. My suggestion for you to help this friend is to help them to understand what's happening to them and reach for support, but professional support, not just relatives or friends, because I think they are under the cultural um, things that might happen. I'm not sure where this friend is from, but I can see that they can be under some cultural limitations or family or friends. So my first suggestion would be first educate this person. He is under the abuse. And this is complete abuse, I can say. And the second one is to help him to get support for a professional, because I don't think this is the situation that they might be able to handle by themselves.
Mm. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Um, I hope that answered the question, Ifoma. I have a question here. Someone says, what if I still love the person who hurts me? Does that mean I'm weak?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, it doesn't look like that you are weak. It's look like that you truly care about the person. And it sounds easy when we talk about the abuse. It's right away what we think is okay. If you're under abuse, just leave the situation. If you know somebody is abusing you, just don't be with them. But it's not as easy as we can just say it. There would be lots of things that we might think. The first thing that here in this question is that we love the person. If we want to talk about this love, the discussion might be very long. But one thing that I would like to talk about this is, as we talk, they control our life. So the chances are that we depend on them. As we discussed, little by little is like I'm under their control. If he or she is not there, I cannot survive. If this person does this kind of thing and abuse me, but also they do this kind of things, so I love them because of them. And sometimes we might say that, okay, yeah, he or she has this kind of bad things, but also they have these good things, or I love him or her because of these things. But one thing I want to say is abuse is harmful in any ways. And if we cannot recognize those abuses, and if we cannot name them, and if we cannot tell other people that they are abusing us, the relationship would be very unhealthy, and it can really affect lots of aspects of our life. So my answer is you are not absolutely weak. You are strong that you love a person. Loving a person even when they are hurting you, it's a very big courage. But I want you to encourage you to know these patterns, protect yourself, and to see how this is affecting you as a person.
All right. Thank you very much. I have
No problem.
two more questions. One of them is
Sure,
very
sure.
interesting because I was also wondering about this when you talked about the financial abuse. So this person says that a woman I know works full time, but her husband takes her paycheck and only gives her an allowance. He tells her she can't manage money. She feels trapped. What can she do to protect herself financially in that situation?
Mhm. That's, I think that's a very important question. Thank you for asking this question. I want to be clear here. My expertise are not under the financial steps that you might take. I advise you to speak with a person that they are more have more expertise under the financial abuse. But here, if I want to answer this question in a general way, here is that as we talked, is the confidence that we cannot manage the money, and the other person taking our paycheck always saying, okay, this is the best that we can do for this family. I'm doing because I can manage it. You don't have the capacity to manage the money. This is not about you. Don't be selfish. This is about the family. And recognize these patterns again are very important to understand this is not right, and this is not healthy. if you work, if you get a paycheck, and if you want to share it with other person, it should be under your control. There is always the room for discussion between you and your spouse or partner or whoever you are talking about, but they should be under the discussion for both of you when you have the control over the situation. Not one person get the money and tell you, okay, this is my job and you cannot handle it. For this matter, the first step is to recognize what's happening to you, and the second step would be reclaiming your power and control over your money by very small steps. What can it be look like, for example, maybe I want to buy this cup, but because I don't have the money that I can buy this cup because my spouse got all of the money. So first thing is I want to have some, maybe some cash, or some allowance that I have, or maybe in some cases some people have some another saving. They put some money there, as we talk about the saving, and I can decide what I can do with this money. So first, I get the confidence that I can manage my money. What can I do with the money I have? Even the small amount of money. So when you recognize, second, when you have the more confidence that you can handle the money, then you are going to talk with them. Then you are going to stand and say, okay, I can do it. And this is my evidence. And it shouldn't be in this way. If it happens in this way and solve the problem, that's very good. If not, again, I encourage our friend to talk with a professional in a setting that both couple could be there and be clear about what kind of responsibilities and role they have in the financial settings that she or he asked for.
Okay, thank you very much. I
Sure, no
I I have two more questions about abuse. Someone says at work, my boss keeps delaying my paycheck until next month. Is
problem.
that abuse or just bad management?
Sorry, I didn't hear. Is abuse
Is it
or?
bad management?
Oh, um, either way, either way, the question is to ask yourself, am I happy with this situation? Is it okay that this happening to me? Maybe I'm not sure what is the relationship with the manager is looks like. Maybe you are in a relationship that this kind of thing doesn't matter to you. But if it's in a way that is harming you, harming your financial life, harming your mind, because we need this money. This is tied to our survival life. And if it's bothering you, then yes, I can see that it could be the abuse. Again, maybe the person is not aware of that, but it could be, yes, financial abuse and work abuse, because this is very clear. Let's not make ourselves to believe something else. We do the job, we get the money. This is very simple. So if somebody constantly is delaying your paycheck, I cannot see it as a normal way. However, I encourage you to see it in your culture and in your relationship with the manager. But if it's a question from me, I don't think it's healthy.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so
No problem.
much for all the answers to the questions. Thank you for the seminar. Um, I would like to invite our president. I think she's somewhere here, Sister Jennifer, to just say a few words before we wrap this up.
Hello, can we hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes, yes. Hi.
Okay. Hi, Tara. I want to start by saying a very big thank you to you. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation and for bringing in your resourcefulness into this. It could truly show from the way you spoke. I think one of the things that you did today that you might not have realized is that you threw so much light. Because for context, most of us on the call are from the African continent where abuse is not really taken as a thing, right? You threw so much light on it. And to be honest, a lot of points you mentioned, I was like, oh, that's an abuse. I didn't even realize that was an abuse. Especially when you spoke about certain kind of financial abuse at work, and I'm like, oh, I've experienced that, and I didn't even realize that was abuse. So thank you so much for throwing in so much light on how to recognize and deal with abuse. And you can tell from the questions that kept pouring in that a lot of us actually needed this, you know. And just like you said, education is the first step. And now we have been educated. So I can look back at certain scenarios and I'm like, okay, that's not right. That's actually abuse. There are certain things I feel going back to memory lane and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was abuse then, but I know better now, right? So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate you. And just to reiterate, three of the questions stood out for me, right? A lot of us, somebody asked about if someone abusing you, what if someone is abusing you and they don't even know they're abusing you? And I know that's a reality. Another person also asked a question about maybe I think a friend is being abused, but she is not owing up to it. And somebody else also pointed out about abuse on men. And for me, what stood out is that every one of these questions still points us back to getting educated, just like you said, getting enlightenment. You can't even know these things are abuse if you don't know what abuses are. So thank you so much for throwing so much light on that. And I feel for each and every one of us, one of us on this call, one of the first steps we need to take is to point whoever is in our lives who we feel are going through this going through certain kind of abuses, to point them towards resources like this, because you can't actually help so much if the person who is in that situation does not even realize they are being abused, just like Tara said. So thank you so much, Tara, for sharing your light with us. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank each and every one of us that joined the call. Thank you so much for being so active. Thank you so much for asking the right questions. Thank you so much for being here from the beginning to the end. And I know we are going to go back so much empowered, right? Like me, I'm already like, oh, I need to reach out to this person and say, hey, I think you should see this video, right? Because, well, as much as I could see myself in situations where I was abused and I didn't know, I'm also looking at circle of close friends who I feel that, oh, it's actually abuse you are going through. And I didn't even know it was it. And you don't also know. So the first step is to point them back to this resource. So on behalf of every one of us at PCDF, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Tara, for sharing your light. Thank you so much. To you, it might have just been a seminar, but believe you me, you've actually ignited a light in us, especially as Africans who don't even take abuse as something serious. And I'm sure moving forward, we are going to be able to stand up more for ourselves, and we begin to correct these ills of the society gradually. So thank you so much, Tara, and thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Jennifer. Please, one last thing before we go. We'd like to take a good picture of the seminar. So if you feel comfortable, you can turn on your camera for a few minutes while we take a picture and give us your best smile. I enjoy myself. Okay, I will be taking a picture.
Hi, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Judith. Thank you,
Thank you.
PCDF. It was very meaningful. I'm very happy to be here. The honor is mine. And I think it was very meaningful to share these ideas with you guys, and I would be really happy if they can be helpful in any ways. Jennifer, believe me, the honor is mine. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for your invitation, and I hope we can continue working together. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
All right. So can we say cheese in 3,
Cheese.
2, 1?
Cheese.
All right, just a minute. I'll take it again. Mm. Oh, more cameras are up. Okay. Okay. One more. 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you,
I hope you have
everybody.
a blessed night's rest, Sarah. You're way behind. Good night and good morning to everyone, and good afternoon to everyone else who different time zones.
Good
And see you at our
morning.
next seminar. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye. Bye. Thank
you.
you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Then that's you.
Whose voice was that?
I think that should be Eden. I knew it. Hello,
Take it
sister.
easy.
So good to see our beautiful faces. Sister Lily of the Most High God.
I got
How you guys doing now? Very nice to have you guys on the call. Oh, I woke up so early today.
You say you have changed time zone from South Korea to US. Good. I'm literally waking up like I was waking up to come submit some of my assignments, and I say, hey, wait, it's not 2 p.m. Oh, it's 6 a.m.
Honestly,
Oh
I'm like,
my
it's not 10
goodness.
p.m. I'm like 15 hours ahead. Oh, I'm behind. Like, so if I slept off, this seminar was not gonna hold.
Mm.
Oh,
So good.
yeah, it's very nice that this happened today. All right
Yes,
now.
so
Uh,
okay.
so our sisters are still on this call. You people sleeping or you spying on us? Which one is it? Which one is it? Which
Well,
one is it? Which
I
one is
know
it?
you.
Which one is it?
Ah,
All right, bye everyone.
All right
okay, sis.
then. And have a great
Bye,
Saturday.
Eden.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.